Today we're going to be painting this evening lake scene, and we're going to be talking through the order of operation, understanding the process of your painting, and how that might change depending on what your subject is. What you'll notice is the brightest parts of the painting are the sky, the beach where the light is hitting, and the water. What we're going to do is paint the sky and the color of the beach, and we'll move into the water, but our final value of that won't come until our second wash. What I'm gonna do is simply do a quick little loose drawing here. All right, let's move into the first wash of the painting. Starting off with a nice big brush. I'm going to use some raw sienna, a little bit of rose madder permanent to create some warmth. So I'm gonna go, oh, you know what? I forgot to wet down the paper. So real quick, let's go ahead and wet down the back and the front. Dampen the front. Oh, it's a really light wash. Can't even really tell. Now we're ready to do the first wash. Rose madder permanent. Bring that in nice and thick there. And a little more rose madder permanent here. Some cerulean. And I'm going to put a touch of this Cobalt Teal Blue in here. And as I get to the top of the sky, I'm going to go very rich with Cobalt Blue. And I want to come here where the paper's wet. So darker at the top, and it's going to fade as we go down. A little bit of lavender here and some raw sienna. So that strip of beach there, see, I went right through the boat, didn't even think about it. When I get here, I'm going to use a little more warmth, a little more raw sienna. Same thing there. Okay, now I'm going to switch to just some cerulean. I'm taking away the white of the paper, but like I mentioned before, all the water, the value of the water, I'll be going over a second time. This is just toning the paper a little bit. If there are little areas I want to skip over to have light on the water in the next wash, this will be what's underneath. So I'm going back to my big brush, Cobalt Blue, maybe some lavender, and just take away the white of the paper here. Touch of neutral tint in with this mixture, and we'll just keep working our way down. So you can see already how treating the top and the bottom of the painting darker is helping that feeling of light already, even in this first stage of the painting. I'll take a clean, damp brush. I'm going to lift off where that boat is. Okay, at this point, I'm going to let everything dry, and then we will come back in and we'll paint the trees in the distance and move into our main area of interest and work on the water one more time. What I'm going to do here is we're going to paint the trees here into this land, and then we'll paint down into the water and darken up that value a little bit. Let's go ahead and mix up some green with some raw sienna, Cobalt Turquoise. Okay, one thing I want to do is I want to dampen part of the paper here and get some soft edges for some of these trees. I don't want everything to be just a really, really hard edge. So I'm just gonna dampen a little bit of this. So I get a few little lost edges there. All right, I'm gonna mix in a little bit of lavender into this first green mixture. Touch of cerulean. Because what I want to do is I don't want everything to be the same vibrant green color. It's okay to change that color temperature a little bit. So go ahead and paint this in. See how I have that nice soft edge. And then if I want a harder edge, you know, here, I can get that. Quickly got that in. And now I'll add some of this warmer mixture here as we get down to the shoreline. And what I'm doing is just working wet into the shape that I already created. I can bring some of that up here. See, that's just a nice variation, those two different shades of green there. I'll be stopping along here to show that shoreline. And I want to remember to stop when I get to that shoreline. I can leave a few little broken shapes. I don't necessarily want it to be just straight across all the way. Just breaking up that edge a little bit. See how I created that pattern there, that up and down kind of wave pattern? I want to get rid of that. So I'm always looking for repetition in my mark making. See, I didn't come quite down. Oh yeah, I did. I came down to where I wanted to. Okay, let's move into this closer tree. I'm going to use a little bit of Quinacridone Gold. I want that closer up tree to have a little bit more of a punch, a little bit more vibrancy to its color. And I'm going to do the same thing just for fun. I'm going to put just a little bit of clean water here and maybe in a few spots there. I like just getting a variety of edges and kind of seeing what happens when the paper's a little damp versus when it's dry. That difference in color is bringing that closer to us. And I can bring that down. I know the tree's going to sit here on that shoreline. And you know, there are little bits that I can leave to suggest some tree stumps and things like that. Even using those subtle differences in shades of green, that helps us create a feeling of depth. And it keeps our painting from getting boring. If we just use the same olive drab green all over the place, that doesn't look very good. Okay, so here I have a bigger tree. You can leave a few gaps. You don't have to fill everything in completely. And I'll go ahead and bring that up. That's kind of nice. Using the side of my brush, turning my brush, trying to get a variety of brush marks. Again, leaving some of the sky showing through. Add a little bit of raw umber, a little bit more variety. We can just bring that down. You know, there's not a lot of these little highlights that we need to preserve. Here we can leave a little bit of the light shining through. A lot of that will be filled in though. We're going to connect the shape of the tree into the shape of some shadows. Before I do that though, let me think about these trees just a little bit more. Are there any little bits that need to be scratched up out here? Little highlights, things to break up this shape, anything we want to do while this is still damp is that's the time to do it. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna load up my rigger brush and use some raw umber neutral tint. Drop a few darks in here. It's nice to get these in when the shape is still wet. I'm gonna go to a little bit bigger of a brush. You can do the same thing here, scratch in a few little highlights. And I can come in and add a few more defining darks to these trees down the road. I'm going to move into some shadow. I want to use some lavender. Raw sienna, neutral tint, lavender. This is going to define a little bit of this other shoreline. That shadow goes right into the shape of the tree. And I have a damp clean brush. I'm gonna dampen some of this a little bit. Again, I want to get just a couple lost edges. They're not essential, but it's a nice thing that I like to do. Connect that to here. Now we're gonna go down into the water. I'm gonna leave a wet edge here and I will come back to that. We're gonna start with a lighter blue near the top and a darker blue as we get to the bottom of the painting. This will also give us a chance to outline that boat that we drew. I'm using Cerulean Cobalt Blue, so let's have the water go through there. Paint around that boat. We're starting to get that feeling of light there in the middle of the painting. I like to move the brush quickly and see if I can skip across the paper and leave some marks. And see, we're already connecting this right into the shadow shape here. I want to bring this across to show the direction of the water here. A richer mixture, just like we did before, as we get down to the bottom of the painting. So neutral tint, Cobalt Blue, Cerulean. Just bring that on down. There's a few of these darker kind of ripples here. Okay, now let's think about the reflection of the trees that needs to respond in the water. More of my green with raw umber. And I just want to suggest some of these reflections. I want the water to respond to the darker shapes here. And same thing here. It also needs to be here. And same thing here. A few more darks over in this tree. I want to do a little more texture on some of these trees. Let's use some raw umber, Quinacridone Gold. Got my scrap piece of paper so I can see if the consistency is right. I think I want it a bit warmer than that. Raw Sienna, Quinacridone Gold. All right, one thing I want to do is darken the value of this shoreline a little bit. Find a clean place in my palette, use some raw sienna, kind of a dull gray that leans to the warm side. And let's go ahead and load up with some raw umber, neutral tint. Maybe a few birds flying around. It was taking me a bit to figure out what this area needed to pull it forward a little bit. A little more attention to detail, some enhancements in the reflection, and some darks and more jagged shapes versus the soft background are helping to pull that area forward. I'm going to add just a subtle little bit of detail on the boat here. Okay, I'm going to take some gouache on the tip of my brush here. Let's do a little mass on the boat. Okay, a few more marks on the water. Get some richer blue color, not that much. And just gonna put a few little sweeping lines for the water. I came back and looked at this painting the next day, and there were a few things I wasn't really happy with. I want to walk you through what some of those things were. I had a really soft edge all the way up to here, and then was a hard edge on the other side. That added a little bit of confusion to the scene. I went back in here and added a little bit more definition. I defined this shoreline with just a couple more marks, and then I came in here and just did a few more marks. And the idea behind that was these directional lines lead us over here into the tree and then over into the area of interest over here. That just goes to show you that often when you're working on a scene and you finish, sometimes that's not the end of the painting, and it's good to take a step back and then come back and look at it again the next day when your mind is a little more fresh. Thank you guys for working through this scene with me, and I'll see you next time. Have you ever been really excited about a painting and you get all set up, you find that right reference that you're excited about, and then it's time to go and you feel lost? You just are having a hard time finding consistency. Some of your paintings turn out, some of your paintings don't turn out, and you're not really sure why. Well, I have a free resource that I want to give to you today that can help with these problems. My 5 steps to plan a successful watercolor painting. I walk you through the crucial planning phase of your painting that will help you understand what you're going to paint first, second, and third. The planning is really so important, especially in watercolor. This medium is harder to correct. It's so immediate. So having that plan is very important. I send you a PDF that you can download. And the great thing about this is you can have it on your phone, you could print it out, and you can take a look at these crucial planning steps before you start each painting to ensure that you're thinking through these important things as you get started. You can download this right now before you start your next painting. All you have to do is follow this link here and download my 5-step guide to planning a successful watercolor painting.